Hello, ladies. Welcome back to another episode of Celebrate You with Moni Millares. Today we have a very special guest. We met years ago in Escape the City, and she is a fascinating woman, full of wisdom and a lot of depth. So today we have Natalia Komis. Hello, Natalia.
Hello.
How are
So
you
nice to
today?
be here.
Thank you. No, the honor is mine. Thank you. Thank you for joining us in the show today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited for us to have this chat.
Yeah, me too. You're like so interesting. I'm like, oh, really looking forward to this. So I guess let's start with the basics.
Mm,
Can you tell us a little bit about you?
yes. So, hello. My name is Natalia Komis. I'm an intuitive business mentor, a soul channel, and a serial social entrepreneur. I've founded many businesses over the years and helped lots of other people found businesses too. And I am now the founder of Remote Mission as well. That's kind of the main gist of it all. Somebody who wears lots of hats, put it that way.
That's amazing. So you have remote mission and you also have like a coaching, mentoring business as well, right?
Yes, yes. So I'm a business mentor, I'm an energy healer, I'm an intuitive. I sort of merge a lot of my passions, a lot of the things that I naturally do and a lot of the things that I've trained in together to help people to ultimately, even with remote mission, it's helping people to discover and activate their soul mission so that they can make the world a better place in the process. And with remote mission, it's about helping all people with skills all over the world to find their fulfilling remote jobs that they can do from wherever they want or need, because a lot of people just simply need to be remote whilst working. But the thing that I'm really passionate about is not just doing any job for the sake of it, not just doing
Mm,
any work for the sake of it, but actually doing the things that light us up. Because in that process and doing the things that light us up and doing the things that we truly care about, we're making not only ourselves happier, but the rest of the world, right? And most of the people that I naturally attract are people that want to make a difference in some way. People who are going, do you know what? I don't just care about money. I don't just care about getting something that I'm enjoying, but I care about doing something for the greater good in some way. And so,
mm.
hence remote mission, hence working with a lot of social entrepreneurs, but also just connecting people to their truth so that they can truly be authentic and through doing so be nicer humans and
Yes.
have a nicer planet.
Yeah, that's what I love about the work that you do. That it's you merge
Mm.
exactly. You merge everything. You merge passion. You merge like proper business with energy, with like soul. It has a lot of emotion behind it.
Yes, yeah. And I think, there's been a lot of ups and downs over the years for sure, and a lot of learning processes for me personally. And I've always had that golden thread. And it took a while for me to understand how much I can merge. I was always merging creativity and adventure. I used to have an adventure business, and wanting to bring business into it, but there was always something a little bit missing.
Mm.
And I always wanted to do something that was, helping others and bringing some kind of social element into it, but I was denying a big part of myself because I was afraid of what that would look like in the business world.
Oh yes, I think many of us resonate to
Yeah.
that, especially if we are the escape the city type of crowd. Let me explain. Escape the city, it's like attracts the young professional with a like thriving career that wants to do something on the side,
Yeah,
something that they're passionate about. And I
definitely.
think this type of woman or man, it's the one that it's like, oh, I love this, and then we are scared about what the corporate world will say about us.
Yeah, and and this is coming from someone who wasn't even really in the corporate world ever properly. I probably did maybe 2, 3 years in that space, but most of the time I was constantly on that sidelines, constantly in between things, not really fitting anywhere properly. And
Mm.
so I was always a little bit like, oh, but if I'm like this and I can fit in here, if I'm like this, I can fit in here. And I found it hard because I didn't know where I fitted in. And it took a while for me to go, do you know what? I don't care. I'm going to start this business. And if I don't feel like doing it anymore, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I don't want to necessarily get investments. I'm not going to accept this investment because, I was having offers for different things for
Nice.
especially my travel business. And it wasn't feeling right. And I'm
Mm.
a true believer in really going with what feels right. And even though I was very much in the startup world. I was very much in the business world. I was helping others, getting investment for others, and we were doing all sorts of awesome stuff. And I was feeling a little bit like a failure because I wasn't doing it for my own business in the same way.
Yeah.
But because it didn't feel right. And I couldn't really explain that properly to people at the time. And it took a lot of other things to happen for me to go, do you know what? Whatever, I'm just gonna move on right now because something's not right about this. It doesn't feel, there's a reason why I'm not making it go bigger,
Mm.
and I'm not letting it go bigger, right? And it isn't because of fear of success or fear of failure, of any of these things that a lot of people talk about in the business world. It just didn't feel right.
Yep.
And sometimes that's as, that's all we need. And so I went back to my art, and my art for me, I studied art at university.
Yep.
So for me, art it's really about healing. It's about coming back into a space of, okay, I can allow myself, I can be expressive. I can, tap into who I am. I can tap into those emotions that I haven't been tapping into properly for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I can just be free for a minute and forget all of the other stuff. And in that process, I realized that there was a whole nother aspect of me that I hadn't been sharing or talking about or allowing myself to explore on a deeper level.
Mm.
And it was so scary. I remember talking to a coach at the time, and I was literally crying on this call,
Yeah.
going, but it's scary. All these people are going to disown me because I'm like some weird spiritual, huge, blah, blah, blah person. Like, I'm into some deep shit, okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the mainstream spiritual, and it's amazing because it has become a lot more mainstream over the
Yes,
last
it
couple of
has,
years.
which
But
is amazing.
even that stuff, I go way beyond a lot of that. Like a lot of the stuff that even I don't share now is like a whole nother
Cool.
level. And slowly it's coming out there. It's coming into what I do and into my programs, and even remote mission, which isn't particularly spiritual on the surface. A lot of the stuff that we do
It
behind the
is.
scenes, it's connect to your truth. It's
Yeah.
figure it out. Really, it isn't like when we accept people into the Facebook group, even we have quite a strict guideline of who we allow in, and it's people who genuinely care about more than just getting a job, making money, traveling the world. And a lot of the digital trends that have been happening, it's not so much this year, but especially in the last maybe 3-4 years, where we
Mm-hmm.
were seeing this rise of the digital nomad, and like it's so cool, and Instagram lifestyle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was very ego based. It was very
Yes, because I want to
surface
be
level.
seen in this place
mm,
and the other rather than
what does this
the
mean for me
exactly. Yeah.
and for everyone else? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I was always, I'm always the troublemaker at events. So I was always, being called to go and speak at these events about the future of work and remote work and all of this stuff. And I'd be there like, well, actually, don't bother doing it this is the only reason you're doing it. Okay. Because you're giving everybody a bad name. you're giving the future of work a bad reputation at the end of the day.
Of course.
If all you want to do is sit on the beach and, sip a cocktail and pretend you're working, that's not going to work.
No, no. So I'm like, if that's not going to work, then can you tell us a little bit more about remote mission? It's like, what is it? What's the journey that you recommend people go through when they say, you know what, I'm ready to go abroad remotely.
Yeah.
Most of the times it's abroad, and do different type of work rather than the office that I'm used to in my city type of
Yeah.
work.
So I actually have a video in the remote mission community where I went on a bit of a rant about this one day, and it was about what to do, what questions to ask yourself before you even leave your job. Okay.
Yeah.
And the big one is why? Why are you wanting to do this? What is it that you're running away from? What is it that you want to run towards?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you why do you feel the need to leave this job? And a lot of the time, and then I'll go into some more questions that I get people to answer, but a lot of the time there's a lot of running that happens when we're wanting to escape, ultimately
Escape. Yeah.
escape the city. Right, escape.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you could go to the whole other side of the world and do a completely different job, but you might not be escaping the thing that you wanted to escape in the first place.
No, because that one is inside.
Exactly. And so often it's not where you are or what you're doing. I mean, often it can be, and it can be huge, that could be a huge influence on it. But ultimately it's what am I what am I creating? What reality am I creating for myself, within myself? What is my mind
Yeah.
creating? And I'm a huge fan of journaling and, reflections, and a lot of, sometimes it takes somebody else to take us on that process, right? To take us on that journey and force us to answer
Yeah.
those questions. And
Exactly.
I have a lot of questions that I time with my clients. So I'll literally give them 30 seconds to respond to certain things. And it's because I want them to just say whatever comes rather than overthink it, which we, all of us do.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Well, the answers to a lot of these things. What it is that you want to do. What you want to, what you believe in and what you stand for and all of these things, but you're letting everything else influence you.
Why do we do that?
For yeah, why? Good
I'm like,
question.
that's a very good question.
Why do we do it? Well, because society dictates that that's one of the most important things, to care about what everyone else cares about, right? What is everyone else going to say about this? And it's the same thing where, why was I so scared to bring this huge aspect of who I am into my work? Because I was scared what people were going to think. I was scared what my
Yeah.
family might say. I was scared what my friends might say. I was scared about having to get new clients and, all of these different things. What will they think of me? What
That's
does
a
this
huge
mean?
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what does this mean? Who am I? Who am I if not this? All right?
Yes.
And when we take that away, when we stop thinking about everyone else and what happens externally, it's like, okay,
Can
right.
relax.
So what do I want? What do I want? What do I want my life to look like? If I'm really honest with myself, right? If I
That's a
don't
really
think
good
about,
question.
yeah, if I don't think about my partner or my family or my colleagues or what I should be doing based on what society's tells us to do, where do I see myself? What do I feel is going to make me happy?
Mm.
What sounds peaceful? And I always come
Yes.
back to that. What is peace? What does peace look
Yes.
like for me? because that's what I want. I want to be at peace. Like, I want a nice, happy, peaceful life.
Yes, I think like it's like the more I become of a grown up, it's like
Yes.
it's a yeah, peace. Being peaceful, being at peace with yourself and whatever the situation is becomes so important. At least for my life, like peace. It's so
Yeah.
important rather than happiness because
When you
they
think
are
peace,
related, but they
yeah,
are different.
when you feel the word peace, it's an instant relief.
Yeah, it's just like
And you're just like, I can do anything, but if I'm peaceful, doesn't matter what comes my way, I can handle it.
yeah.
Um, and that's, and then the second question is, what are my needs, right?
Oh, that's a
What
really
are
good
my
question.
needs? And as I said earlier, when we're talking about remote work, my big passion with Remote Mission was, I don't just want the privilege to be able to get jobs. I don't just want, people who do want to just go off and travel to be able to do this. I want all people who have the skills to have access to something that's going to not only be given them the means, right, given them money to pay their bills and to do what they need to do, but also fulfill them in a way that's going to bring them happiness and peace. Um, so, it's, what do I need? What do I need to live a peaceful life? What do I need in my physical reality? And what do I need within me? What do I
Mm.
personally need to feel at peace? And when you start to look at it from that perspective, whether you're looking for a remote job, whether you're looking to start your own business, whatever it is, it's okay. Let's start here. Because when and for a lot of people, that starts at safety, security, stability.
Yeah.
If we're looking at our chakras, it's the base chakra, it's that root chakra, the very, the first thing. I need to lay those foundations.
Yeah,
What
to feel safe and grounded.
what are those foundations for me? Yeah. What does safety look like? What do I personally need to feel secure? For a lot of people, that's money or a home or um, like actual support from somebody else.
Yep.
Um, and it's okay, well, what, how can I create that for myself so that everything else that I do feels easier because I've got a sense of safety and security? And it might be that
Yes.
you've got a savings account, or it might be that, okay, well, I'm going to get a part-time job whilst I am able to explore all of this other stuff. Or it might be, okay, well, let's look into that. Why do I feel like money is such a big thing for me? Right? Do I
And that's a
actually
big
need that?
thing. Yeah, it's a big thing for many of us.
And one of the things, for me, I'm a risk taker. I'm like one of the biggest risk takers out there. I'm an Aries. I'm very fiery. I'm just like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So I thrive on challenges. I thrive on, okay, I don't have money. How am I going to make money? What am I going to do
Hmm.
to create something so that I can then go and do this? So for me, it wasn't so much money, isn't so much the security thing. For me, it's, I need somewhere where I can have my feet on the ground, where I can be stable, I can be grounded so that I can do all of this other not so grounded stuff in the process.
Yes. Yes, I I understand.
So, for me, traveling was always quite difficult because it's constantly uprooting yourself.
Yes, it is.
So, the digital nomad lifestyle, that does not suit me every few weeks, every few months, maybe, yeah. But every few weeks, no. And the more I've gone into, the more I've explored and opened myself up spiritually as well and grown that aspect of who I am and evolved, the more that's even more important to me. My environment is probably the biggest thing for me. And that is definitely my root chakra stuff. That's where this is what I need in order to be able to do all the other stuff.
Hmm.
And moving around every time it sets me back straight back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
because I need to clear the energies. I need to like create my space. I need to know what's going on around me. I need to create a safe space to be able to work in and to be in general. And that, that's not like a quick flick of a button.
No, it takes time to set up everything around you. Yeah.
Yeah, and um to feel grounded in that space as well. There's lots of different components to that. And to someone who's quite sensitive in terms of energy, there's a lot that you need to do in order to protect your energy as well. So yeah, so going back to those questions, what is it that you need? What is it that you need, and what is it that you want? And then, what do you stand for?
Mm,
What are your values? What's important to you? What are you going to step up for? What do you believe in? And when we're talking about our mission, our soul mission,
yeah.
that's a huge aspect of it. Because if you don't believe in what you're aiming to do, you're not going to put in half the amount of work
Yeah. And
and you're
it
not
takes
going to
work.
stick to it. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work. Yeah.
And you're not going to be as motivated. You're not going to keep relighting that fire in your belly to keep going for it. The spark's not going to keep coming up. And it's going to feel difficult, and it's going to be easier to walk away from it.
Yes.
And that's why I do believe people who create and do work for something bigger than it doesn't have to be much bigger than yourself, but it's something that isn't only going to benefit you on an individual ego-ish level, right? It's
Hmm.
how is this going to grow my soul? How is this going to impact those around me, or impact the people or the planet or the environment that I'm working in or towards? And when you start to focus on, okay, what are my values? What is it that I want to be known for? What is it that I stand for? What is it that that makes me cry? What is it that I'm not going to sit around and keep quiet about because this means something? That's when you go, okay, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here that I want to explore because there's a spark going off.
Yes. And then what do you do when you have that curiosity? Because many people, it's like, oh, I don't know where to start. But then you just gave us the answer on how to start. But then once you find that je ne sais quoi, that kind
Mm.
of like calls your attention, how do you connect further to that?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that a lot of people who are open to being curious do is there there's a lot of curiosity. So there'll be more than one thing, right? More than likely. So
Yeah.
for me, I had this problem big time when I first started in the business scene, in that I wanted to do this, and then this took my interest, and I wanted to do that, and I was like, oh, there's so many amazing things, and so many things that I feel a spark for, and which one, and I did all of it. I did all of it. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that you do all of it, but what I do recommend is, one of the things that helped me was to have an ideas journal. And
Yeah.
in that, you write down all the things that do create a spark, all the things that you feel curious about, all the things that are going, there's something here. And you leave it. You don't act on it immediately. You leave it for a few weeks, a month, 3 months, and then you come back and you go, is there a spark still here? Is this like, is this something going on that I really want to keep exploring about this? If the answer is yes, then you go and you give 3 6 months to that curiosity. You commit to doing that. And then if it goes somewhere else, amazing. If it doesn't, and if something else sparks your attention, same process. Go back to it, see if it's still feeling good, give it time. One of the things that I learned at art school, which is probably one of the main lessons that I picked up and that I
Hmm.
come back to is it's never the first idea. It's never the first try. It's almost always from the third one onwards.
Yeah.
And it all that in itself almost gives you permission to not worry about it so much.
Such a
Right.
good word, permission, because that's what I thought. It gives you permission to just like try it once, try it twice, three times, even four, and you're like, who cares if it doesn't work? It's never the first time.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think as well, you could have one amazing idea, but until you start exploring it, it's not going to become epic, right? It's not going to become something actually amazing in real life. And I was always, I'm a big visionary, I have a huge imagination. So I was always
Yeah.
imagining these amazing things. But then when I tried to make them in real life, practically, it was never as good as my imagination.
Mm.
And the first time round, I'd be like, oh, it's not working. It's looking rubbish. Or, from a business perspective, it's not feeling the same way. It's not getting to the same level that I was expecting it to. And getting frustrated. But if you just tweak something, or if you just go off and come back to it and try something slightly different, or come back with a different energy, even, just go, do you know
So
what about if I try something completely different for a minute, just to shift where I'm at with this, come back with a different mindset, different energy. Oh, voila, something entirely new that I hadn't seen before
yes,
in this
that's a very good point. Very, very good point. Because
right.
like how we show up in front of the idea, it's like, oh, I might be frustrated at work and I want to escape and I want to build this, instead of, I don't know, I just went on holiday and I've been in the beach and I'm inspired. Or something as simple as, once I've started the project, I'm working when I'm tired, versus I just had a nap or I just
Exactly.
meditated. And then
Yeah.
it's like, and then I can put my energy into the thing that I'm creating. And the energy is
Yes.
totally different.
One of the things I always do, whenever I feel like I'm getting frustrated with something, or it's not working, or it doesn't feel in flow, I either go and have a shower or a
Mm,
bath, whatever time of day it is, or I go out for a walk in nature, just for that movement and that just freshness and connection to nature. Or one of the things I used to do when I had a trampoline was literally go and jump on the trampoline for 10 minutes.
yes,
And
it
it would
moves the
completely
energy.
shift, yeah, it would completely shift my mindset and my energy. And it's so important to be aware, be self-aware of how are we feeling, what is happening, why are we getting frustrated, what is going on here, and am I fixating on something when I should just be letting it go for a minute. And when you do that, you can come back, try something new, second version of the idea, second version of the business, whatever it is. Okay, slightly improved, slightly different, same process, onto the third one. And genuinely, it always works for me. I'm on my fourth business now, and this is the most success I've had. This is the most fulfillment, most alignment. And I don't think I
Mm,
would have got here had I not done what I'd done, right? Had I not explored and been curious, I probably could have done it in more flow and less pushing and less hard work and less,
yeah.
not listening. Um, and it probably would have been a lot quicker, which is why I want to help my clients make sure that they don't do the same mistakes.
Yes, yes, because we learn with experience.
Mm-hmm. Um, and if I'd got support earlier on, I think it would have been a lot smoother and a lot quicker as well. And that's one of the mistakes that I went through, was I felt like I had to do it all on my own. Um,
Mm,
and I didn't. I didn't need to do that. And
yeah.
and that was big learning curve for me, because I was, my first business was a marketing agency, and I was, hired people, I brought people into the team, and I grew it, and I hired all the wrong people. I made lots of mistakes early on that meant it wasn't feeling aligned. And instead of shifting that and changing it and, you know, going back and admitting to those mistakes and hiring new people and just keep going, I was like, no, I'm not enjoying it. This isn't working. I'm moving on to a different business.
Yeah.
And, like pluses and minuses. Um, but ultimately, what I was doing then, I'm still doing now in a huge level. A lot of the things that were part of both of my, like, especially my two previous businesses, I'm doing now, but in a slightly different way.
Yes. But it's probably a little bit more aligned
Yes,
with what you're
definitely.
doing.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that comes back to, well, the reason I was doing those things was because I did have the skills. I did have the skills to create those businesses. I had the skills to support the people in the way that I was supporting them, to create great marketing campaigns, or to create amazing adventures in different parts of the world, like all of the things that I'd been doing. And on those adventures, it was creative walking adventures. So it was all about personal development and self growth through creativity
Oh, I
and
remember
walking.
those.
Yeah, I'm
I
adventurous,
remember now. Yes.
and walking in nature. And I absolutely loved it. Like, it was amazing. And genuinely, the transformation that used to take place in the space of a few days was insane. Like, it really was insane. And I still use so many of the techniques that I used to use then now. Um, and I unfortunately did bring back retreats last year, but obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we
Gutted.
know the story.
um, so there's definitely lots of elements that I'm using now that I did have back then, and that's because they were skills of mine. I'm not going to completely forget that I have those skills, but I'm harnessing them in a different way. And I think people forget that when, just because you've left an industry, or you've left a type of job or a type of work, doesn't mean you've got to create a whole new set of skills and create a whole new life, right? That's part of who you are. There's a reason that you are good at those things. You don't have to use them all the time and every day, but harness them in a way that's
Yeah.
going to support who you are now, your new rebirth.
And who you're
Right?
becoming.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. So when we're, especially for people who are looking for new work and remote work, it's what skills do I have that I can bring to the table, whether they're soft skills, whether they're practical skills. It's think beyond the stuff that's in the resume, think beyond the things that are in a job application, because when we're looking in the impact world, that's what you need to bring. You need to bring the things that aren't just the obvious. It's, who am I and what can I bring as a person
Mm,
to this organization, to this, um, to this movement.
yes. And it's like by bringing something that you're passionate about, you also enjoy life more because then you are like in your flow and you're aligned and then you're happy doing what you like doing. Anyways.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is better. Life is just better in general.
Yes. Yes. I'm curious to know, like yesterday I was listening to one of your interviews with one of the ladies that you mentor. It's like, I want to know everything about your other business. It was so interesting. It's like you have like a business mastermind, but it's
Mm,
not just a mastermind.
yeah.
It's not the traditional business mastermind. There's a lot of energy, and you talk about the elements. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So, all of my programs that I do now, in my, in my mentoring and coaching business, they are more than business, right? So they all incorporate soul, strategy, energy, alignment, all the things that we've been talking about but on a really deep transformative level. So it's like encompassing everything on a much more I don't like to use the word holistic, but on a holistic level in terms of your soul, your mind, your body, your business. And your
Yeah.
business has its own soul, mind, and body, right? And it's what do these, looking at who you are and who your business is and combining them.
Oh.
And so I have a membership where we have soul work and business classes, and the two always go hand in hand. And the mastermind. So the mastermind is the only place where I teach my elemental business framework, my methodology. And this actually came about from back in early 2019. I became certified in a brand new healing modality called elemental healing. And I was one of maybe 20 people at the time who'd been certified in this globally. And I won't go into the story because it's quite long, but the way it all came about was very, it just happened. I'd actually had a dream about unicorns, and I'm a very spiritual person, but my spirituality was much more much more grounded and much more human. Like I wasn't so much in the fairies and unicorns. Like I might have sort of believed in it a little bit, but I wasn't that hippy dippy was how I
Yeah.
imagined that at the
Yeah.
time. And so, I love animals. I'm very connected to animals in the spirit world. And I've always seen ghosts, and I've always talked to spirits, and I've always had to deal with energy clearing wherever I went, even if I didn't want to. And so I had this dream about unicorns. And I remember thinking, that's so weird. I don't have an association with unicorns. Like, what's this all about? And there was a whole nother aspect. It's this huge, almost like a whole film in a dream. When you have those kind of dreams where they're like films.
Yeah.
And it really was really intense. And I remember being like, this means something. I don't really know what it means yet, but it means something. And then literally, I think it was the next day or the next 2 days, I suddenly came across this woman that I'd worked with. Or had I even worked with her then? I think I'd just known about her like years ago, and suddenly she just appeared in front of me again, and she was like, "This is new elemental healing program, and there's unicorns, and there's this, and there's that, and the elements of the earth." I was like, "This is literally my dream. This is so weird." So I just knew that I had to do it. So I did it. It happened. I became certified, and it just awoke all of the stuff in me that I'd had from my childhood. So I'm half Greek. I lived in Greece for most of my childhood, and I was always connected to the elements. I was always connected to Mother Earth and to the trees and to the animals, and
Yeah.
it's where I spent all of my time. I literally used to run away from home and be in nature constantly.
Nice.
And I used to play Xena Warrior Princess, obviously, um,
That's
running
super
around.
cool.
So this connection to the elements was always something that I had, but when I did the healing, it was suddenly everything came together. And me being me, I thought this is an amazing way for me to bring everything else that I know and that I've been working on into something new that connects with someone that I've always been. And
That yeah.
and that and bringing my spiritual aspect and the elements into it at a much, not just a deeper level, but a much more obvious way, just felt perfect. And so I created the elemental business framework, which is literally harnessing the elements, the 5 elements: earth, water, air, fire, and spirit, in a way that helps us not only connect to ourselves and activate each of our chakras, because our chakras are all aligned to the elements as well, but activate us to those elements and to their elementals. So each element has its own almost like support team, let's say,
Yeah.
and bringing that into business. So how does that look from a business standpoint? So when we're talking about our root chakra, that's the earth element, right? Being grounded. What does that look like? And what do we need to do for that to be activated in a business sense, in a professional sense, as well as within ourselves? How can we heal these aspects of us that have been holding us back so that we
Mm.
can set solid foundations both in our life and in our business? And then and then we've got water, which is all about intuition and our emotions and relating to our clients and understanding them, and so much about the feminine aspects of how we do life.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, the feminine and masculine energy and what that means and what that looks like. And for so many of us, especially those who've been in the corporate world, it's masculine
We
energy
live in masculine every day.
so
Yeah.
much, and that's where burnout happens. That's where that constant pushing and, the ego and caring about what everyone thinks and all of that stuff, that's where all that comes into place, because it's an imbalanced masculine.
Yep.
And so the water element is very much connecting us to that divine feminine energy.
Yes.
Yeah, to the flow.
And it's back to the flow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we go into fire, which is aligned action, which is balanced masculine. And that's where we get that
Oh,
spark.
I love that.
That's where the fire starts to burn, and that's connected to our solar plexus, right? Which is the creation. Let's create something. Let's transform something. Let's set those sparks off, and let's take aligned action on that.
Yeah. Yes, because there's a great difference between aligned action and massive action,
Yes,
which
exactly.
a lot of people talk about. Oh, massive action. No, no, no. It's
Mm-hmm.
aligned, inspired action.
Yeah, and when it's balanced masculine, you know when to pause
Yeah.
before taking proper aligned action. And it's not a constant doing, it's doing when it's right. It's doing when the energy has hit its peak, when, you've got liftoff, right?
Mm.
As opposed to allowing the lava to completely consume everything.
And you're like, oh, it's so much work, so much to do.
Yeah, overwhelm, overwhelm.
Yeah.
And then we've got air, the air element, which is all about understanding who you're working with. It's about using your voice. It's about activating your heart chakra, and being able to connect with your soul clients, with the people that you
Mm.
naturally attract. So on the mastermind, we use astrology and numerology, and I've also got someone coming in to talk about human design as well. And it's harnessing all
Oh,
of
I
these
love
tools.
human design.
Yeah. So it's harnessing all those tools in a way that's going to help you to connect to your intuition, right? Become the master teacher that you are, so that you can go,
Mm.
I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. I understand my mission. I'm going to call my power back and be the leader I'm meant to be. And use all of these tools. Everything that I teach, they're tools. Like whether you're
Yeah.
using cards, whether you're using astrology, whether you're using numerology, whatever it is, I give my clients the tools to then step into their own roles. I'm not a guru over here. I'm not like your teacher that you have to listen everything to. I'm guiding you and offering you the way for you to be your own master teacher.
I love that.
And that's how we,
Yeah.
that's how we empower people.
Yeah, because then you start believing more in you, and then also you learn how to leverage your strengths. And it's not your strengths, you learn to leverage your intuition and your talents.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Your soul
yeah,
gifts, right?
exactly. That's the word, your
Yeah.
gifts. Yeah.
And it, like my mission really is to help you guys be the leaders of the
Yeah.
next age, right? To be your own leaders. Um And so, yeah, and so we use all of these tools to help you to understand yourself better, help you to understand your clients, help you to create a business and a brand and work that's aligned with that. So you get all of the framework that you need in place to then be able to go and take aligned action. And on top of that, you have all the healing that takes place.
Mm.
So it's literally huge. There's so many elements to this mastermind. It's the business mastermind aspect of it, that in fact that you've got support and this group and people there to help you and brainstorm and all that kind of traditional mastermind stuff. But then you've got
Yeah.
almost like a whole nother course that's part of it, which you have lifetime access to. You can come back to time and time again. This whole framework that you can actually use in so many parts of your life. It doesn't need to be business. And then you've got the internal healing that takes place, where you've got energy healing, soul channeling. So for everyone on the mastermind, they get one-to-one energy healing and soul channeling through me. And then there's group healing that takes place with each element. So each element
Mm.
actually has its own energy, and once we're activated into that and can harness that, we can heal all of the imbalances that are held there.
Oh.
So wherever we have an imbalance in our root chakra, in our earth element, we can start to heal those. Wherever we have that masculine imbalance in the fire element, we can start to heal those things. So it's really, deep transformative work, but then has all of this other stuff that is on top of that, all of the more 3D stuff, right?
Yeah.
um and it's funny because I think I was saying to someone this morning how I was getting frustrated by when I wanted to bring it out again for the second round. I wanted to do it 6 months ago. And I was like, oh, I really there's something not right about it bringing out now. And then I got ill and just loads of stuff happened that kept meaning I kept having to postpone it. And
Hmm.
then I eventually thought, yeah, this is it now. Right, bring it out right now. Amazing, feels great. And then all these little things started happening that confirmed to me that it was the perfect time. When you start knowing how to listen to the signs and understanding what's going on around you and really listening to yourself, you start to get that validation. When you've got faith and when you've trusted, the validation that you've done the right thing comes.
It shows up. Yeah.
Yes. And one of those things was the last time that I ran the Conscious Business Sign Mastermind was the full moon in Scorpio had just happened, and lots of stuff had happened for me personally. I just moved countries, like loads of things had happened, and then throughout the 6 months, we had floods, we had fires in Australia, and we had
Yeah.
the pandemic, and all of those things happened in accordance with the element that we were working on,
Oh, that is so interesting.
right? And this time round, again, just as I've launched it, we've got a full moon in Scorpio.
Yeah.
And what happens when you have the full moon in Scorpio, 6 months later, you have a new moon in Scorpio. So it's a 6 month cycle. And it's literally death and rebirth. That's what the full moon in Scorpio
Mm.
represents. And, and I hadn't even, like, for once, which is quite unusual for me, I hadn't even looked to see what was going on
At the
planetary
moon.
wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, this is when it needs to come, go do it. And then when I realized, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, perfect. This is exactly what needed to happen. And so it really is about trusting your intuition, trusting when things feel right, when sometimes not pushing is exactly what needs to happen. If you push too much, why is that? Why are you constantly pushing against something that isn't
For
working
you.
out? Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
it's not in flow. And most of the time it is because you feel like you have to, or it's that imbalanced masculine because of maybe the need for money or this or that or whatever, things that actually are, again, external factors. And
Mm-hmm.
if you were to just trust and listen and go with what feels good, things always fall
Yeah.
into alignment.
Yes. Yes, they do. And sometimes it's like when we're pushing, then Mother Nature has a way to tell us, oh, that's
Oh,
not the right way. And that's, it's in those moments that you're like, shoot,
damn it. Why did I do that?
I know. And you're like, oh, but those moments that I call like, they're like the mini crises, it's like something happens and you're like, oh, but at the same time, it's painful, but you know that there is a purpose for that happening. That breakup, that end of a job, whatever it is, but it's like the end of something most of the times, and it's very painful. But you know deep inside that it's like good, but at the same time, you're trying to hold on to that and be like, no, I wanted it.
Oh my goodness, so much. The death before the rebirth, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I'm in the middle of writing a book at the moment,
Nice.
and one of the things that I talk about in the book is all the times I was forced to stop.
Ooh,
All the times I was forced to stop when I should have stopped before
yeah.
being forced to by the universe or whatever. And for me, because I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and then it's like bam, massive accident, broken arms, broken this, like natural disasters. Literally, it was everything that could possibly stop me in my tracks, so that I literally couldn't do anything
And you
because
have to stop.
I kept ignoring all the other stop signs,
Yeah.
all the smaller stop signs. I just kept ignoring them, putting them back, being like, no, no, it doesn't mean anything. I don't care. I'm just going to keep pushing, keep pushing. And, the amount of broken bones I've had over the years has been ridiculous. The amount of accidents that were unnecessary. And every single time I remember writing in my journal, this has happened because I didn't
I had
stop.
to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last time I had a big accident, I was like, right, that's it. No more. No more of this.
No. It's like listen to the signs.
I can't break any more bones. um, so yeah, and a big accident hasn't happened since, touch wood.
Yeah. No.
So yes. But it really
Wow.
is, exactly what you said. The universe puts things in your way, and you've just got to listen. You've got to listen to those signs. You've got to listen to your body. Our body is one of the easiest ways for us to connect to our intuition. It doesn't have
Mm.
to be all up here. It's like our physical body shows us. It shows us the way.
Yeah. It even shows like, oh, if I'm having pain, I don't know, like back pain,
Mm.
that's different if I'm having like knee pain, or like throat pain or tummy pain. It tells us like so many different things.
So, oh my God, there's so much wisdom in our body, so much, and it's part of the earth as well. We are so interconnected to the earth that we forget how simple it can be. How easy that connection is. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be complicated. We are simply beings on planet Earth, and we are part of who she is, and she is
Yeah.
part of who we are.
It's beautiful that you touch on how simple it could be because I was thinking Like, well, yeah, the body tells us different things if we listen, but sometimes it's not that easy to listen. It's
Mm.
simple, but
Yeah.
we need to tune in to really listen. What do you do to listen to your body?
Oh, um, different things. At the moment, it's definitely taking time to be in silence, to go on my own for a walk. Because most of the time I'm now walking my dog, which is lovely, but even with her presence, it's different than being
Mm,
completely on my own.
yeah.
Um, and so that on a very simple level, those really easy things to do, right? And sacred baths, and just literally having that space and moment to just allow my mind to calm, allow my thoughts
Mm,
to calm. And when I'm one of the reasons I had started I'm Adventures, the walking business, was walking and movement is so uh, it's one of the easiest ways for us to clear our minds and
yeah.
for us to be able to just tune into the movement. And when you do that, you can then tune into your breath. You can then tune into space, right? When you start to let go of all of the other stuff, even what's going on around you, and you just focus on that movement, then it's that rhythm, it's that flow. And that flow takes you to a whole nother space, a whole nother level.
Mm,
And that from a starting point, that's one of the easiest ways that I recommend. And then the other things that I do is simple things like meditating and all of that kind of stuff. But if it's something that I'm having trouble with and I'm having to make a decision, or I'm having to work something out, or I'm getting in my head instead of tuning in,
yeah.
right? I physically use my body. So I literally, um, two different ways. One of the ways would be I create two physical spaces. So if I'm making a decision, I'm creating two physical spaces in my room or outside or wherever I am. This space means A, this space means B, right? If I'm making a decision, this is this decision, this is that decision. If I'm trying to work out what feels good, this or that. And I go into that space. I'm like, okay, this is this one. Imagine it, be in it. I'm in the space. This is who I am in this situation. Go into that one. This is who I am in this situation. Come back out. Take a nice deep breath. Okay, let's go in them now. Having created that
Seen.
space, having seen it,
Yeah.
having felt it, let's go in and feel it now. How does it feel? And tune into how your physical body feels in that space. And instantly you'll have some kind of reaction. And the more that you do this, the more you'll recognize the reactions. What's a hell yes and what's a hell no.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not as obvious as a hell no, but it's a, oh, I don't know, this is a bit scary, a bit weird. And your body responds. Another really easy way is our hands and our body create a lot of energy. Whether you're a
Yeah.
healer or energy person doesn't really make any difference. If you've already worked with energy before, it will be easier, but you don't have to. So if you hold your hand over your thigh, so your left hand over your left thigh, and you close your eyes, and you're just hovering it. It's not quite on your leg. You can start to feel almost some resistance there, some energy, some kind of movement that happens in that space.
Yeah.
And you just focus on that. You focus on your hand above your thigh. You just bring all of your attention there. Taking some deep breaths as you're doing it. And then you're going to ask yourself something that you know the answer to. So you know that the answer is a yes or a no. It's easier probably to start with a yes. So maybe something like, my name is Natalia Komis. Or is my name Natalia Komis? The answer is going to be yes. And then you focus on, what does that feel like? What is your hand doing? Can you feel energy coming in or out? Like, what is the movement that you feel? Is your hand tingling? And as you focus on that, and you just keep asking questions that you know the answer is yes to, and that response amplifies to the point where you go, okay, I get what's going on in my hand. I get what's happening. I know what feels like a yes. And then you ask a question that you know the answer is no. And you're going to get a different feeling. And you focus again on, what does that feel like? How does that feel different? And it might be really subtle. It might be that you almost feel like there's energy going out of your hand, or that you feel energy in the palm of your hand, or maybe it's even some resistance happening between your thigh and your hand. Everyone will feel it slightly differently. And again, the more that you practice this, the more you'll know what a yes is and what a no is. And it's that simple. It's that simple.
I love it. Yeah, because then properly we reconnected to feeling.
Yeah, to feeling our
Yeah,
body and our energy.
yeah. And it's as simple as yes, no, how does it feel different?
Yeah.
That was a great exercise. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. It feels like just like a natural, and I feel like so zen now. I'm like, oh yeah.
Good.
It was
Peace.
like
Peace.
reconnected and peaceful. Yeah, so peaceful. Awesome. Um, so where can we find you?
Yeah. My name, Natalia Komis, on Instagram, my website, anywhere really. Remote Mission, it's just remotemission.com if you want to check that out, and you can sign up to the free newsletter where we send out jobs, and you can also get a free workbook which helps you to discover your remote mission. And if you want to find out about the mastermind, you can find that on my website, nataliakomis.com/conscious business design.
Perfect. How often do you have the mastermind?
Wow, who knows? It's open currently until the 10th of May. I don't know when you'll be releasing this, but it'll be until the 10th of May.
We'll
And
release it before.
okay, cool. And that is for 6 months. And then we'll see when it feels right to do it again. I aim to do one every year, but yeah, I don't know for sure. But if it's not the mastermind, then I have other things that I release, other programs. So when I thought I was going to release the mastermind this time, I ended up releasing a completely new program that I channeled through, which was called Temple Journey. And that was
Ooh.
all about these new um, energetic frequencies and temples that are coming into our awareness now on planet Earth. And they were brand new. And ever since, we've actually been uncovering real life physical temples that have been connected to them. So it's really exciting to see it all
Nice.
start to
Oh, that's
unfold.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also saw that you have self-care boxes. I
Yes.
love them.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
On
I
the
was
Soul
like, oh,
Shop.
yes, yes, the shop is beautiful.
Yeah, so all of my clients, whenever they work with me, they get free gifts like that. So I was giving them to them, and I thought, I might as well just put some of these on an actual shop for people to have as well. So yeah.
Yeah, they are beautiful. And you can see the packaging and even the name and the pictures, everything. You can see that it's like so aligned.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. I love
it's
that.
beautiful boxes.
Well,
Yeah.
each box and each crystal and every element that goes in is cleared, so energetically cleared, and also healing energy added into them as well. So it's all, it's about offering something that really feels good, really feels right.
Yeah.
So
Good.
yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, well, thank you
Oh,
so much for
it's
this
been an
chat.
absolute pleasure having you.
It's
Yes.
been so nice to be here and to talk about things, and to just be able to, even for me, to reflect on some of this stuff as well. So thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you. And then just to close the show, usually I send a big hug of love all the way from Malaysia to the rest of the world. But I'll let you, if you could do me the honors, then to
Oh,
close and then send everyone up with a lot of love covering all of the world.
I love that. Yes, I will. Thank you. So, breathing in, bringing down this amazing love energy and sending it out to all of you listening, to everyone around you, and to the planet as a whole. And to you, Moni. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been beautiful. Thank you. Ciao,
Bye.
ladies. I'll speak with you next week. Hope you enjoyed it. I massively enjoyed it. Super centered, super zen. Thank you, Natalia, so much. And then speak with you soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.